imagining things?
So, that close colleague who stayed behind with you? What's he been up to recently?
Don't know, don't care. I get more normal human interaction from hanging out with Bosco too than him. Although, now you mention it, he hasn't bothered me in a while. I wonder if...
If he's disappeared without a trace, it's the biggest gift he ever gave to the world. But I somehow doubt that's what's going on. He won't lie low forever.
Ah, Lord Sangama Bay. How lovely to see you. I must thank you for the device you provided. It was an enormous help. Would I be right in thinking that it was developed by the Academia?
Why come and ask me when you clearly know already?
I mostly came to thank you.
That's more like it. A little gratitude goes a long way with Lord Sangama Bay. Play your cards right, and you might even stand a chance of becoming my long-term supplier.
The chance to work with such a kind and charitable investor as yourself would be a great honor for the Curatorium.
Huh? Charitable? Who said anything about charity? First time hearing about it.
Let's see. The first plot of land you purchased in Nodcry, your desert interests, and...
Stop! What do you think you're doing? Exposing my investment history!
It's nothing to hide from. They're all perfectly legitimate investments. And some of the land you purchased was with the intent of building a sanctuary? Yes, I heard about that too.
How did you...
You're a curious case, Lord Sangama Bay. You don't like people finding out about your good deeds, do you? But I'm afraid no matter how hard you try to keep things under wraps, where there's a will, there's a way. You did it for Sumeru, didn't you?
It was empty land that was gonna go to waste otherwise. I figured if I built something there, it might at least get some use in an emergency. Disasters are capricious things. They strike without any warning. I've lost family to a disaster before, and I don't want to lose any friends or business partners if I can help it. My elder sister used to dream of finding a sanctuary. Somewhere with plenty of food, water, and medicine. Where everyone could live happy lives. It was something I looked into, but after discussing things with the Dendro Archon, I decided on a more effective strategy. The tech people handled the tech, and Moneybags provided the Mora. It just made the most sense.
It's a pity that so few people know the truth about you. Everyone says that you view everything in terms of Mora, and all you care about is growing your own wealth.
So, what's the problem with that? Everyone wants to be rich, it's human nature. So yes, I love Mora, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
But surely you have dreams of your own, beyond just making Mora.
You don't get it, do you? My dream is to invest in other people's dreams. And, you know, make a nice little slice for myself along the way. Just thinking about it makes me happy.
Thank you.
For the device?
And the pendant.
Oh, that. I was just returning a favor. Don't worry about it.
Seems like we've both been away from home for a very long time.
Yeah. So long that I barely remember what my family even looked like.
That would be your mother, father, and sister?
Yeah, though it's been years since my sister passed away. It's not like I want to forget them, obviously, but memory can be even more ruthless than the most calculating business person. Beyond a certain point, if something isn't helping you, it just gets rid of it. My sister can't help me now. Slowly but surely, her face is fading from my mind's eye. It's become a vague impression.
Not everything will fade. When loved ones pass away, the beautiful memories are the ones that last the longest.
Yeah, that's true. If you ask me, that's the one silver lining in all of it.
Well, that, plus, I'm sure that life is much better now than it was back then.
Oh, absolutely. I have tons of Mora, a big beautiful house, business is booming, and I'm as happy as can be. You've got a lot going for you too. Boss of the Curatorium of Secrets? I'm sure there's plenty of Mora to be made in that line of work.
I appreciate the vote of confidence.
How have you been holding up? Any adverse reactions? If you start to take a turn for the worse, make sure you tell me right away.
You don't need to worry about me, Grandmaster. I'm fine. I mean, I barely did anything, so...
What? You're too humble, young man.
You played an indispensable role in the battle for Nodcry. We can't thank you enough for your support. Sometimes, when people praise you, it's because you deserve it. The best thing is to accept it calmly and with grace. It's important to learn how to respond to words of admiration.
Let's do a quick demonstration. Albedo, that was an incredible feat of alchemy. The pressure was on, but you worked flawlessly at lightning speed to get the job done.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit, though. Durin played a big part in forming the alchemical array.
See? Did you catch that? A masterclass in how to take a compliment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did work pretty hard to help prepare for the battle. No point denying that.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, look who's bounced back. Looking good, traveler.
Seems like you've recovered. You won't need to take any more medication.
Can I get you a drink?
Huh? You know how to order at a bar now? You've sure learned a lot recently.
Handling a drinks order is ridiculously simple compared to alchemy. Don't worry, I'll blend into society yet.
Paimon believes it. You're clearly a fast learner, just like your brother. To be totally honest though, Paimon didn't quite follow all the details when you first explained the plan to us.
Don't worry, that's completely understandable. Unless you're a student of alchemy, it's hard to grasp the principle and how the process works.
To put it in the simplest terms, we saw how our enemy stole the power of Kuvaki. And that gave us the idea of stealing his power to turn it against him. When facing an enemy you have no hope of defeating, it's best not to engage them in battle. So, instead of looking for a way to overpower him, we decided to help Columbina get strong enough to at least stand up to him in a fight. For this to work, we had to analyze his modes of attack, confirm who his main target was, and make sure that he wouldn't go beyond the range of the alchemical array. For added security, we prepared a total of 4 arrays. But to mitigate the impact of the battle, we identified one location in particular as the ideal spot, which is where the confrontation took place. The alchemical array absorbed his abyssal power. Then Durin processed it to render it usable by Columbina. That power enabled her to do what would otherwise have been nigh on impossible.
What surprised me was that Dainsleif actually agreed to join us. Given his history with Rerir, he had every right to sit this one out. But we're extremely grateful for the decision he made.
It must have been a painful choice to make. But I'm sure that making a decision was far better for him than staying in limbo.
Absolutely. He was torn between 2 paths, but in the end, he made his choice and stuck to it resolutely. He doesn't strike me as the sort of person who'd stay trapped in limbo for long. Anyway, however you cut it, everyone gave a stellar performance. And now, it's time to kick back and celebrate.
That's the only reason you're here.
Yes, realized that you, me, and Arlecchino should be friends. I think this is very important, so I felt I had to come and tell you.
Well, this is a new one. I'm so moved. I can't even hold my teacup. If that's all, you can leave now.
Do you not want to be friends with me? Or is it that you prefer being co-workers?
What is this, Columbina? Are you deliberately testing my patience threshold? Right now, my politeness module is active, but if you say another word, I swear I'll shut it down.
If your politeness module was active, Wouldn't you say the word please at some point?
Polonia, please see Lady Columbina to the door.
Will you still invite me to your next tea party?
What?
Yes, I think you will. Bye-bye, dear Sandrone.
Last time, the Wild Hunt escorted you out. Would you rather I handled it myself this time?
We just wanted to, see how you were doing now that it's all over.
Why? Out of concern for my safety? I hope you didn't seriously think that the Rayhir of Solnari would be able to lay so much as a finger upon me, given how prepared I was.
Mostly because you kind of helped us out, so we just wanted to check you were okay. Looks like all your robots are fixed, huh?
Oh, don't you worry about that. Tea time is already a write-off. The visitor before you managed to kill my appetite. If you're in the mood for tea, go ahead and help yourself. Otherwise, it's going to waste. My coasters are still missing in action, though. Use this notebook instead.
Whoa! Pretty hefty notebook. Look at all those calculations.
You can ignore those. They're just dumb scribblings. I doodle and write in my free time. Sometimes I remember the distant dreamlike past. Sometimes I imagine the far-flung future. And other times, I grit my teeth and note down all the crazy nonsense going on in the present. Some people trying to predict the future is like daydreaming. And writing about the present just makes me furious. The past is my favorite. If nothing else, it's already set in stone, so I don't have to rack my brains trying to figure it all out. Huh. Although, having said that, the only vaguely interesting memory in my past is probably that guy they call Lord Artificer. Who else? Pretty much all the mecha in Fontaine are his personal handiwork.
Wait, are you saying you know him? Like, personally? As a friend?
I mean, I guess we were friendly enough. Yep. In fact, I'm probably the only normal person left who knew him at all. We used to chat occasionally back when he was still around. Before he passed away, he asked me to destroy all his manuscripts. I honored his request, but I did read through everything first before destroying them. I mean, I couldn't let the genius of Lord Artificer Alain Guillotin disappear like that. It would have been such a waste.
So, that's where the formulas in your notebook are from?
I just told you, those are my equivalent of crossword puzzles. They're just dumb formulas that I solve for fun when I'm bored. Alain's work was like epic poetry. The formulas in my notebook are just silly little riddles in comparison. Not that there's anything bad about them. I mean, at least, solving those riddles isn't going to hurt anyone. Except me, 'cause I lose a few brain cells in the process. Anyway, while we're on the topic, I might as well tell you about what happened to him and his friends. Alain Guillotin had two close buddies, Renee and Jacob. They spent their childhood years together in the Narzissenkreuz Institute. They were all quite competitive, so there was some rivalry between them, but it was a friendly rivalry. But beneath the friendship and the rivalry ran something deeper, a sense of nostalgia for the past. Unfortunately, childhood would end, the prophecy would come true, the apocalypse would arrive, and the future would never be. A mad dream that would normally only capture the minds of lunatics began to take root in their hearts. A dream of saving the world. And if Renee and Alain had been people of lesser wits, that dream would probably have ended up as something for them to joke about in their older years. But alas, they were some of the sharpest minds around. They nurtured that dream with the full power of their intellect, and it grew into something that ate away at their souls. The first of them to fall under its spell was Renee. Against Alain's wishes, he persisted in experimenting on a mutual friend of theirs to try and save their life. Alain did not approve and parted ways with Renee. It's complicated. Alain wanted to believe that Renee only did what he did for the sake of their friendship. But when he told me about what happened, I could tell he still had some suspicions about Renee's motives. Perhaps the seed that would grow into a nightmare had already sprouted in Renee's mind. Even then, the next time they met, Renee's soul had been completely engulfed by the dream of salvation. His futile attempt to change the tide of fate only resulted in a wave that swallowed up the world, even before the apocalypse came. And although that wave died down eventually, I hear that it just recently came back with a vengeance. As I understand, Renee wanted to live out his dream of salvation once more. But I'm told that the attempted resurgence finally died out for good. At long last, Renee awoke from his deluded dream. Though of course by then it was far too late. What do you think of Renee? Do you admire his transcendent genius? His view that any price was worth paying to achieve the lofty goal of saving the world? Or do you despise him? Dismiss him as an evil madman who wrought havoc on the lives of everyone around him as he pursued his delusional dream. Same difference, really. Just a matter of perspective. Doesn't surprise me. You share one thing in common, after all. You both want to be the savior. The only difference is, your dream came true, and his... well, he wasn't the one who I don't like fanatics who give up their whole lives for their ideology. Nor do I like fools who let their delusions take control. Maybe I could understand if Renee had just been an ordinary person. But he had a sage-like intellect, and still managed to get himself lost in the labyrinth of his own desires. Anyway, that's enough about Renee. Now, moving on to Alain Guillotin, the Lord Artificer. He managed to put a stop to the first storm whipped up by Renee. But after that, Alain lost his friends and family. To his credit, I suppose, the loss of his family and friends was purely a tragic accident. It's not like Alain sacrificed them for his cause or anything. After that, the only thing supporting his work was the same dream, but although the desire to save Fontaine drove him to found the Fontaine Research Institute, Alain continued to reject any form of transcendental knowledge or power. He was suspicious and fearful of it, having seen the way it had affected his closest friend. I think that formulas and machines derived solely from human intellect were the only thing that gave him a sense of spiritual comfort. Yet Alain's intellect was simply too great. It barely left him space to breathe in his lifetime. Once he realized that the end of his life was approaching, he finally accepted the truth. The Nazissenkreuz Institute needed someone, and a human being, to see its story through to the end. He quit working on his formulas, trading them in for the fairy tales that had played such a formative role in his childhood, but which he barely touched in his adult life. He told me that the director of the Nazissenkreuz Institute used to read those fairy tales to the children as bedtime stories. Apparently, they worked wonders at sending kids off to sleep. I think that all he wanted at that time in his life was to be able to sleep deeply without being plagued by depression. By that point, nothing else really mattered. At the very end, he laid down to rest in the ruins of the former Nazissenkreuz Institute orphanage, while the Fontaine Research Institute he had founded continued tirelessly with its work. Many years after that, tensions over competing dreams would once again cause a rift, this time between members of the Fontaine Research Institute. But the actions of those fools had nothing at all to do with Alain. And that is the story of two people from the Nazissenkreuz Institute who both wanted to save the world. One went all in on his fantasy of salvation without ever looking back, and ended up calmly sinking to the bottom of the deepest sea. The other sought desperately to burn bright in his life, even though he wasn't sure where he was going. do sometimes wonder, why is it that people like them have such grand hopes of saving the world? Even the grandest tree starts as a tiny seed. So perhaps, for each of them, their mission to save the world began with a very simple desire: to save themselves. They were young children with friends and family who mattered to them, desires to explore the meaning of life, ambitions to have a successful career. They didn't want to see all of that taken away in one fell swoop. Or maybe they just wanted to find something to anchor themselves within the chaos, to stop them getting quietly swept away by the storms of life. But instead, the search for their own salvation took them down the rocky road laid out by fate. Do you think the desire to save oneself is enough of a justification to try and save the world? Sensible answer. Glad to know you've got your head screwed on straight. Alain would disagree, though. I asked him the same question back when he was in his prime, putting all of his energy into his work. Yes, it's enough. No elaboration, just a quick, short answer before getting right back to his work. He was always that way. All right, tea time's over. I owe Arlecchino a favor for telling me these stories. I'll have to bring a whole sack of gifts the next time I visit the House of the Hearth. I'm gonna go tinker with Polonia now. You guys can do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't involve interrupting me. Polonia, exit hibernation mode. Begin diagnostics.